Hello, everybody. Welcome to another of the Black College Experience. We are rolling out of what's called the pop-up shop. Since COVID-19 has rolled in, we have changed up a little bit. We went from Sundays to Thursdays, but you know how we do. We just gonna make it do what it do. Of course, I'm Keisha over here getting ready for Juneteenth over in Atlanta, Georgia. My co-host Derek is over in Baton Rouge. Derek, what's going on?
What's going on, everybody? Just ready for this Father's Day Sunday. You know, my 13th year of being a father. So I'm excited about Father's Day, and then my birthday is next month. So the summer means gifts for me.
Gifts for you. That's also. I'm not a particular fan of the month of June. I don't really care for the month of June. I say it's cursed. I really don't care for the month of June. I'm hoping for July to hurry up. But good looking out. I mean, Father's Day is coming. Happy early Father's Day to all of the fathers. That will be celebrated. 13 years, that's a long time. I commend you for that, especially having a daughter. So I truly commend you on that. But today, joining us, we have a special guest that, of course, I've been raving, and I looked at the resume a few times. I said, "Wow!" I was really impressed. I mean, he's rattling now, but I was really impressed. So today, we don't want to hold it up. We do have FAMU's athletic director. Now, please forgive me if I say the last name wrong. Is it Kortne Gosha or Kortne Gosha?
Gosha. Put a little French. It's got a little French twang to it.
All right, so we have Kortne Gosha joining us today, FAMU's athletic director. Everybody, of course, they were going to listen in on this call because everybody wanted to know about FAMU coming to the SWAC. So we're not going to hold it up. I'm gonna start off with the interview, and then Derek's going to take, I guess, midway through here. So thank you once again, Mr. Gosha, for joining us. We truly, truly appreciate it. We know that you're at FAMU now, but we got to start from the start. So take it back to, I say, Jacksonville State. Where it seems like, is that where you started at, Jacksonville State?
That's it. That's where I cut my teeth. I Birmingham native, so I'm familiar.
Wait a minute, Huntsville, Alabama, right here.
There you go. So you know all about that neck of the woods, but SWAC country is not new territory for me. But
right.
Growing up and seeing the Magic City Classic in Birmingham, but I did my undergrad at Jacksonville State University, and at most small schools, you get an opportunity to do some special things, and you get blessed with responsibility. And so I cut my teeth in athletics at Jacksonville State, built a $50 million stadium while we were there, and that's really was the launching pad for my career. After my time there, I transitioned to Middle Tennessee, where I served in really 3 different roles there, but ultimately Associate Athletic Director and Chief Operating Officer for 6.5 years. Left there and decided to take my talents to South Beach, to the University of Miami, and great time, great opportunity to really do some major things in the facility world at a Power 5 institution, and really was enjoying Miami, minding my own business. And my president, Dr. Larry Robinson, man, he's a tough salesman, and he came and visited, and we had some conversations, and I was thrilled and honored and privileged to be given the opportunity to serve as the Vice President and Director of Athletics on the highest of 7 years. And that brings us to today. We've been on the ground, really trying to change a lot of things really quickly. And one of the first things for us was, obviously just kind of shaking up Black college athletics, and we implemented a move to the SWAC in 2021.
Okay, so you did. You kind of took us. It was kind of like the scope. So let me go back. Let me back Carl up, just because I do have some things between there. So let's go back to some accolades. 2015 class of the Collegiate Leadership Symposium. 2016 graduate of the Sports Management Institute. Talk about some of those accolades in the actual leadership symposium.
Absolutely. Well, I'll say this, for a lot of administrators and athletics that look like us, members of the African American community, it's really important that we position ourselves strategically, like others do. And so I've been blessed and fortunate to have some really good mentors. Martin Jarman, who's the AD now at UCLA, was at Boston College. A good friend, a good mentor, another African American that blazed the trail. The dean of Black College athletics, Lynn Thompson at Bethune. And so when you're coming up in business, they say, hey, you need to learn as much as you can. And so get in these things, get in these programs. And so both of those programs are really elite programs that people work 5-10 years to get into. I was blessed and fortunate to do it. And the Sports Management Institute, it's an executive education program that's housed at the University of Michigan and their business school. And then you do your second part. We did it at the University of Texas to become a school of business. And really, you're trained and you're pushed in all these different scenarios really prepare you to sit in an AD's chair. And then the NCAA Leadership Institute. There's a scenario that they put you through that's very similar to COVID-19. It's like, hey, this situation is going to happen, and you got this deficit. How do you make up for this? And in all those scenarios. And so, who would have thought that in real life those things come to fruition? But I would say I've been truly blessed and fortunate to have mentors in the space that have guided me and provided strategic planning to become an athletic director, and at this point, the youngest athletic director in Division I athletics.
That's all right, Dad. Because I started looking, I was like, wait, 2011, wait. Like I started looking at it, I was like, wait, he's younger, and that says a lot. That means that your journey it's been totally blessed. You've done a lot of stuff in the course. Really, I would say a short time. It's not even been about 6 years right around. It's been a great journey to say that you've done so many things. Now, I even look at you negotiating contracts with apparel providers like Nike that valued at like $10 million, overseeing the budget. Now, this 2018 policy led to the alcohol sales. Is that at Middle Tennessee?
Yeah. So those at Middle Tennessee, we were the first school in the state of Tennessee to sell alcohol on campus. A lot of work, but we're in the entertainment space. It's one of those things, I told somebody when I was making that presentation, even Chuck E. Cheese sells beer, and so, for us to, be at a college football game where atmosphere is important, entertainment value, it just made total sense. But, we had to go through some legal processes, and we were able to get over the hump and be the first school in the state of Tennessee to do so. And just after that, several SEC institutions had reached out to us about our policy, and they implemented a year later after we did that at TSU.
So you can actually say, hey, I was the one. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that, dear.
we start trends. That's the name of the game.
That's what we do.
Well, speaking that you bring up the alcohol sales, and I do know, with me being from Mississippi, I do know that Ole Miss was one of those schools that did start to sell alcohol during football games. Is that something you could see at FAMU, or is that in place already at FAMU, or is that something you'd like to bring to FAMU to, I guess you could say, improve the ambiance or the game atmosphere of your sporting events?
Absolutely, it's on the radar. I think previously here at FAMU we've done beer gardens where we've kind of given it away, and it's only it's only reserved for a certain group. But again, in the business model, you go to any NFL stadium or Disney on Ice, there's still an alcohol. It's a part of the entertainment experience, and so we're definitely looking at those things across the board. And every athletic department around the country is looking for opportunities to generate new revenue. That's an easy fix. And so it's definitely on the radar here in Tallahassee.
So you went to Jacksonville, as Keisha said before. Did you play any sports as an undergrad?
So I did. I played baseball. I mean, baseball was my thing. I was too.
Play baseball.
Yeah, yeah. So baseball was my thing. I'm 5'5", so basketball wasn't happening.
Hey, Muggsy Bogues made it to the NBA. You could be the next Muggsy Bogues.
Man, I get mad every time I would hoop with all my friends calling me. Man, they were blocking my stuff, so I gave it up early.
What position did you play?
So I actually played center field, played a little shortstop.
Okay. So with you being the athletic director and a former baseball player, I mean, of course, we know where the money's for football.
Absolutely.
But of course, we know what kind of plans you got in place to help that Rally baseball squad get back on top.
So, man, the future's bright. Coach Jamie Shoup, what he's been able to do. And remember, we're the 2019 champions. So,
okay.
The pedigree.
You're coming to the SWAC as a whole different.
They're not ready for it.
He's
not ready for it.
You better tell us about your Jaguars.
I'm a Jaguar now.
Hey,
I'm a Jaguar.
Hey, speaking of the Jaguars, y'all know I'm going to talk a little junk now.
Oh, Lord.
So they knew we were coming to the SWAC in 2021. So they decided, well, we can't take a beat down in 2020, so we're going to cancel this game.
We was waiting. I said, all them L. I said, we got to listen to them talk for a whole other year. Before we can
in all seriousness, AD Roman Banks and his deputy AD Travion Scott with us. We've been in conversation, and obviously we understand the circumstances around the situation with COVID-19, and so it's one of those things that I think all of us were a little upset about, to a certain degree, but we've got to make sure that the health and safety of our student athletes is our number one priority.
Now, back to that question as far as your athletic director background. You are a facilities athletic director. A lot of athletic directors, some have backgrounds in athletics, or strong points in athletics. Some are strong point in academics. You are a facilities person. I'm pretty sure you have synergies of those areas, but your baby is facilities. What kind of plans do you have in place? I'm looking at the basketball court in the background. It's beautiful, but what type of plans do you have to improve the current facilities at FAMU? Because you're in Tallahassee. I also know what other school is in Tallahassee.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna mention them names, but you can come to FAMU, get a quality education, play sports, and enjoy some great facilities. And now, tell the next group of FAMU athletic rattlers what type of facilities that they can plan to see, or improvements, or strategic plan for facilities at FAMU.
Absolutely, and to your point, you're right. I think that's one of the things that really attracted Dr. Robinson and our board of trustees to appointing me as director of athletics was my facility background. Now, obviously, to build facilities and make facilities what they need to be to compete at the highest levels, you got to bring in some money, and so all of those things are connected. I've been a part of facilities that the facility plan. Hey, if we get this, then you can leverage and generate this amount of revenue, et cetera. And so we're working through some of those things right now. But again, we're putting that experience to test immediately. We launched the All In campaign about 4 months ago, which is going to totally renovate our football field house. Our football field house had not been touched in 37 years. So same lockers, same flooring, same furniture. So imagine recruiting today's student athletes to something that's 37 years old.
Oh, wow.
And, it's been the past 2 weeks, the whole, the recruiting thing about star African-American athletes wanting to go to HBCUs over predominantly white institutions. And what I've told a lot of my constituents, because we get those questions, have y'all offered them? Yes, we don't offer them. But we've got to ask ourselves, do we have the infrastructure for a student athlete to want to come? So do we have the athletic trainers? Do we have the academic advisors? do we have the facilities in which they want to play in? And and we had to answer some of those questions, and the reality was no. So we've got to make sure that we're doing what we need to do. And we started with our football field house, as we talked about the revenue generating sports, and so we will be completing just under $1 million renovation to that facility by the time our kids come back. And so,
that's awesome. So to see pictures.
Absolutely. So again, we're in the fundraising campaign on that, but we're also simultaneously, completing the renovations, and that's a 3-phase campaign. The first phase is football field house. Next, we're going to go into repairs and updates to Bragg Memorial Stadium, and then phase 3 is ultimately a new stadium project.
So, do you have any renderings? Are they public for people to see?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we can definitely share those things, and we want everybody who follows FAMU to see some of the great things that are happening on the Hill.
So now I'm looking at your strategy. 2 things to kind of say about yourself. You say your strategy is growth. Of course, you just explained a little bit. Talk about this non-traditional methodology that you have to achieve this growth.
So, I'll say this, and it goes back to the experiences that I've had. I've been at FCS, small footprint schools, with a rural background, i.e. Jacksonville State. I've been at a mid-major where, you're in a larger metropolitan area and you're a commuter school, my time at Middle Tennessee. And then I've been in a Power 5 where, your resources aren't that big of an issue because you have them, but the standard in which they operate within. And so I think as an administrator, what you do is you take a little bit from each of those experiences, and when you get an opportunity to sit in the chair, now you put them together. So it's not in my opinion, it's not an untraditional methodology, but for Black college athletics, I think you're seeing a wave of younger athletic directors. One of my good friends and colleagues, Ashley Robertson, who's the Vice President Director of Athletics at Jackson State, was appointed as the first African American athletic director to serve at the FCS Athletic Directors Association.
Okay. He went to school there, right?
No, I did. Where did Ashley go to
school?
Okay.
Mississippi Valley State University. It'll be in Mississippi.
All right.
The Devils, baby.
There you go.
And we're also from Jackson. I'm from Jackson. He went to Murrah. I went to Callaway. So, I'm good. I'm glad that he's doing well. I watched his time at Prairie View, and I was marveling, like, wow. I was proud of him. It hurt a little bit to see him have all that success at Prairie View, but I was happy for him. And now he's at Jackson State, and it still hurts a little bit to see him build those titles up. But I know he has a job to do. It's good to see African American men being successful. I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No, absolutely, but actually, what he's done at Jackson State, Dr. Ed Scott at Morgan State, and so the list goes on. But I think what you're seeing is the fusion of kind of the next generation of college athletic directors who are innovative. We're going to do the things that people say we can't do. We're going to challenge people to think differently. We've got to challenge our alumni to give differently. I tell my people, hey, you have to, what are your expectations? All right. So if you give $100, I want to say your expectations are going to be $100 expectations.
Right.
And at FAMU, we're talking about winning national championships. So to talk about national championships, your giving level has to resemble that. Because again, in higher education, but in particular, historically Black colleges and universities, if you're waiting on the state, some other benefactor to do it, it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
And so again, it's all connected. But I think casting a great vision for people to buy into, doing what you say you're going to do, and sticking to your core values is one of the big things that you can do as an athletic director to make sure that you're successful.
Okay. I'm going to let go back to Keisha so she can talk about what everyone wants to hear. this move to the swag.
Before,
Kels, you want to take a commercial break first, or go ahead into the
we
conversation?
yeah, we can go take a commercial break.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with more Black College Experience.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science. After that, I'm going to get my law degree. Then I'm going to come back to Detroit, boost the economy, become the mayor or something, try to make the situation better for other people. I feel like I owe it to the city. I'm determined. It's going to happen. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
All right, we're back with more Black College Experience, and I'm going to let it go away with Keisha.
Okay, so before we hop into this move to the swag, before we transition into that, I did want to ask this question. Being into your undergraduate studies was at Jacksonville State. Then you worked at Jacksonville State, Middle Tennessee, University of Miami, then transitioning over to FAMU. What was that like coming from those schools, transitioning over to HBCU? Because like you said, you weren't a stranger to it. You had the Magic City Classic, you have your Alabama A&M's, your Alabama State. We know about the Magic City Classic, and that's something that we did every year. But talk about that transition to HBCU athletics.
Absolutely. Well, I would say my first introduction, just growing up in Birmingham, obviously, it's part of the lifeblood of living in Birmingham, attending the Magic City Classic. So that was really my first introduction, and the pageantry, the experience that you have, is second to none. My time at Jacksonville State, we scheduled Alabama A&M often as non-conference games. My very first college football game in athletics was against Alabama State in the Crimson Bowl. They beat us, and I'll never forget watching the Bumblebees at halftime and all of that, that's associated with it. And then just in the OVC, playing Tennessee State every year. So that was a huge game. And so, I think the small community network piece from Jacksonville State was really good for me. But then understanding how important, playing other HBCUs were. And then, my time going to Middle Tennessee, it was a little different for me at Middle Tennessee. Middle's a great place, just outside of Nashville, right up the street from Tennessee State. But I was the first and only African-American administrator in athletics. And so that came with its own set of challenges, but it also gave me an opportunity to show others the value of an HBCU culture. And so I always scheduled an HBCU game to start the season, because I was like, hey, there's not a culture like this. And so we played Alabama A&M. Middle had not played Tennessee State in like over 20 years. So I was like, hey, I got to get you guys back on the schedule because I knew the value that they had and that they would bring to an atmosphere. And so that's kind of been a mainstay at Middle Tennessee after my time there. And then Miami, it's a melting pot. So, you talk about culture, Miami in itself is a culture. And so, just that experience, but having the rabid fan base. I mean, the Hurricane fans are nuts. I mean, it was always 100. And so, when I transitioned to FAMU, I think I took a little bit from each one of those institutions. My Rattlers are diehards. There are no fans like the Rattlers. I mean, they live, breathe, and sleep FAMU athletics, FAMU football. They are Rattlers. They bleed. They bleed orange and green. It's a way of life. Kids grow up, and this is what they know. And so that piece was unique for me. I didn't necessarily have to change my wardrobe too much because my colors from Miami to FAMU were the same.
Correct.
But again, I had to make sure I replaced the logo and all of those type of things. So that was fun. But but again, I think the experiences that I learned from some of my previous bosses, Blake James at Miami, Chris Massaro at Middle Tennessee, and then Greg Seitz, who's now the director of athletics at Jacksonville State. But those relationships also helped me at FAMU. We have upcoming football games at the University of Miami. We're going to play Middle Tennessee in some other sports, maybe not necessarily football, but in some other sports that have generated revenue for us. We're in conversations with Jacksonville State about some opportunities to play, who, by the way, as a predominantly white institution, they have a 600-piece band that is called the Marching Southerners. And so, again, just thinking about the possibility of playing them at home and all of those type of things. So those are some of the things that I think have benefited me early on. But there's nothing like being on the last 7 hills and experiencing a set Friday and going right into a football game. And FAMU Twitter is real, so don't, I know you're from Southern, so don't play.
Derek, he keep mentioning those heels.
I've never heard I've never heard that in my life.
At least 3 times.
I mean, is that supposed to be a reference to FAMU? Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I know about FAMU very little. I mean, I know about Coach Billy Joe, but you're gonna have to educate me. What's the highest heels?
Well, we brag different. Number one. Number 2, the highest of 7 hills. So, the story in Tallahassee in particular, there are 7 hills, and we sit on the highest of the 7. And, we got our names the Rattlers because when the university was founded, no one wanted this land because of all the rattlesnakes. And so the other school in Tallahassee, they decided to go to another piece of property because they didn't want that smoke. But as Rattlers do, we always rise to the occasion. And so we talk about coming to the hill. That's what it's all about.
Thank you for that history story. Thank you. We appreciate
So is the land still full of rattlesnakes?
Oh, absolutely. We strike, and strike again.
Hey, let me tell you a funny thing. When we first started 4 years ago, my actual first co-host was a FAMU Rattler. It was a girl. That graduated from FAMU as well. So I did. And actually, a lot of people don't know my first choice was FAMU. FAMU was my first choice.
What?
FAMU was my first choice. Yep. FAMU was my first choice. And so I think I was in band at the time, and we took a trip to Tallahassee and them hills. I was like, no, we're not doing this. That ain't what we're trying to do. That quickly changed. That quickly changed. So yeah. So back to the interview. So okay. So going into this and being a woman in this field, a lot of times I come up against a lot of things. Men, y'all have it the way y'all have it. We got to fight. We got to prove, and we got to do so many things. As the tide is turning, we're starting to see more African Americans in these positions. Also starting to see more women in athletic director positions. We can look at Jennifer Williams over at Alabama State. We can look at just across the board. Talk about the importance of, I see that being a versatile position, not only men, but also Black women. Absolutely.
It's pivotal. Again, you look at our student athlete population. We have young women that we serve, so it's very important that we have in the leadership seats, significant female athletic directors who are making a difference. Jennifer at Alabama State, a great personal friend of mine and a leader. She's done some really special things at Alabama State. You think about Dr. Ingrid McCree at North Carolina Central, who's a great personal friend and just, first class in everything that she does as an athletic director. And so I think that, females in intercollegiate athletics and sport are paramount. I mean, it's important that we create opportunities that really cross a lot of barriers. Gender barrier is one of them. And even though in historically Black college and university setting, we have dominated that, those positions with minorities. There's still a lot of room at the FBS level, in intercollegiate athletics for progress. And there are a lot of women who are leading that charge. And so we're excited about that. Several of our associate ADs here at FAMU are female. Our senior women's administrator and chief financial officer, Ms. Craig Lockley, stole her away from the University of Miami. Ms. Michelle Harper, who's our associate AD for academics and competitive excellence. And so those are two key members of our team. Quite frankly, if they weren't here or is as good as they are, FAMU success, wouldn't be as front facing as it is right now.
Speaking of academics,
the future's female. Go ahead before I jump into the next subject. Go ahead.
Speaking of academics, FAMU was unable to play for the MEAC championship in football due to some probation. What's the plan to, I guess, keep it from happening again in the future? Because FAMU's football team was strong last year. You were voted HBCU National Champions, and then you claimed one. So, but what's the plan to keep the NCAA away, or when they come, you ain't got nothing to see here?
Yeah. So it's a process. And one of the things that I made sure that Dr. Robinson knew under my leadership and my tenure, we're going to do things the right way. The right way is not always easy. It's not always convenient. And part of that is we have to provide and understand what our core values as an athletic department are. And I'm all about rings and degrees. Okay. But again, the student becomes before the athlete. And so we've got to make sure that we're doing what we need to do in the classroom to position ourselves where we're not going to, we may have taken the shortcut today, but tomorrow it's going to hurt us. And I think those are some of the things that have systemically hurt us. And last year was a great example. We should have been in Atlanta in the Celebration Bowl last year. But and at no fault of this coaching staff or these student athletes, prior administrations dropped the ball. And so, we're going to really reorganize how we operate. We've done that. Coach Simmons has been phenomenal to work with. But we've got to put him and his student athletes in a position to be successful. And I like rings. I got a lot of them, and I like a lot of ice in them. And so, if we want those things, we got to make sure that we take care of our business in the classroom.
All right, go ahead, Kayla.
Okay. So now the question goes back to what everybody wants to know. It had been rumored that FAMU was going to transition over to the SWAC for a while, and so it's finally happening. Talk about that and the plans, the excitement, because we're excited. We're excited for FAMU to be coming to the SWAC. But how are y'all feeling about coming to the SWAC?
And we're fired up. It's one of those things that everybody talks about it. I'm, and as you guys get to know me a little bit more, and I'm a straight shooter. We're about that action. And so, for me, as we really reviewed, the data, we had an opportunity to save money. We had an opportunity to play what I consider to be the blue blood of black college athletics, Jackson State, Southern, Grambling, week in, week out. And that's the smoke we want. We want that type of atmosphere in Tallahassee every other week. When we go on the road, that's the type of pageantry we want our brand to be associated with. And, obviously, for me and my background, knowing a little bit about the SWAC and spending time in Birmingham, Commissioner McClellan is very progressive and really, very connected. He serves on the NCAA basketball committee and a variety of other things. It was just time. And, financially, a lot of historical black colleges and universities are looking for opportunities to save money and increase revenue. And for us, it was bittersweet because we got a lot of traditions and a lot of history in the MEAC. And Commissioner Thomas has been good to FAMU. But ultimately, this was a decision for the best interest of us. My kids, my fan base, they are fired up, and they've really been waiting for this decision for years. I mean, people were talking to me a bit about it on day one, and so we kept our cards close to the vest, as best we could, and at some point, it was going to get out there. But we're excited about the future.
Now, with this,
wait. So let me ask you this: what's the win? Like, who's up, FAMU or Bethune-Cookman as far as the series? Who's on top? And so it sounds like Bethune-Cookman because you are last.
So what I will say is the team in Garnet and Gold has had an upper hand, but every cat has 9 lives, and those days are over. So we will leave it at that.
Go ahead, dude.
Well, I was going to ask, of course, when Hampton left the MEAC and went to the Big South, one of the big questions was, what about rivalries? So I know you still have another year left in the MEAC. Well, when's it going to be official again? Next year, right?
Next year, yeah.
Next year. So what's the plan? Well, of course, COVID-19 is kind of screwing up everything as far as scheduling now and future scheduling. But is there a plan in place to keep that rivalry going, of course, with Bethune-Cookman and, of course, North Carolina and the Aggies? We know how dominant they have been, because if you can beat them, that's a huge measuring stick in HBCU football.
Correct. Well, I'll say this. You're right. That rivalry with Bethune-Cookman isn't going anywhere. We have opportunities to schedule non-conference games. Lynn Thompson and I mentioned earlier, he's been a long-term friend and mentor to me. And we're both committed to making sure that that game, that rivalry goes nowhere.
So, do you think you're going to come to SWAC and just take over? I mean, because, my alma mater, we don't win in football, but we haven't had to worry about nobody else wearing the color green. And now here come you Rattlers with y'all green. You know what I'm saying?
We got a special green. And yes, we do plan on coming in and taking over. I have let all of my athletic director colleagues know, and I put them on notice that the Rattlers are in the house. And I think our fans have let all the other fans know as well.
Now, has it been decided what division will be in?
Yes, we've talked about that, and we're going to be in the East. And right now, I know Commissioner McClellan is working to finalize plans and schedules and all of those things, because when you add teams, it throws a bit of a wrench in it. Yeah, so I think everybody's kind of taking a pause and figuring out what it looks like, but we're excited. Again, there's the fact that we could host Alabama State, go to Alabama A&M, and host Jackson and go to Southern. If they don't cancel on us again, they
You know what? Now that's I heard. Now you know what? We're not taking no money hit. We are very disturbed. I mean, people woke up I woke up to texts, and I'm like, what are they talking about? Man, they didn't go to the game. I said, I should have known that it was coming. You should have had it somewhere in your mind. It was coming.
So a lot of people don't know this, but my mother actually lives in Baton Rouge.
Oh.
And she attends a lot of the Southern games, and I had an aunt who's a graduate of Southern University.
So you just know all that information, this whole interview, huh?
I did.
You got a little bit of jag in you.
He do.
We got a little bit, but no, it's definitely good, and I definitely rid them about kind of the house divided now. As I said, so who y'all gonna be cheering for? And they do what to say.
Southern?
No.
Well,
they gonna say FAMU because of their child. Now they know they like Southern, but they gonna say FAMU because of their child.
Now
they can root for Southern any other day except that day.
now with you guys coming into the East, of course, my team, Miss Valley, is not going to be much of a threat right now. We're in a long-term rebuilding mode. You know what I'm saying? But what is it, 6-time champ? I don't want to say the 6-time East champ and 2-time SWAC champ, the Alcorn State Braves. They gonna have something to say about y'all coming in the East and that y'all just gonna take the crown.
That's okay. We definitely listen when people talk, but we will finally win the Celebration Bowl for the SWAC.
Oh, oh my God! Shots fired. See Alcorn. You know what? I'm a notorious Alcorn critic. You know what I'm saying? I have their side on this. I don't see that happen. I just don't. I can't have you coming in a new Debo. You know what I'm saying? You got to be the bookie. For a while.
My mama used to say this: I can show you better than I can tell you.
Oh my God! Y'all gonna have to do something about your family rattler.
Okay, I do. I can honestly say that we were in a position where everybody was so fired up after that rival was renewed in September. We were so excited, and so coming before the season, when we found out that FAMU was on probation, it was like, well, dang. You can already see the end result. We was like, well, dang, they ain't going to be able to play anyway. They ain't going to be able to play. So on our mind, the only thing we were thinking was, oh, man, if we make the Celebration Bowl, we going to get to play FAMU. That's the only thing we were thinking. We're going to get to play FAMU. And then, of course, Alcorn canceled that again. So we was like, oh, okay, well, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen for us. And then we know how Celebration Bowl turned out after that. So, yeah, but I think I really do like that. Honestly, FAMU, they had a great football team last year. They did. And just to start the season, that out-of-conference game, and I was like, if this is a prediction of what FAMU was going to look like, and I did. Prior to coming to Tallahassee, we talked so much junk. I talked so much noise. Coming back, I said, y'all, my phone broke. Don't call me. Don't text me. I can't talk to y'all because my phone is out of condition. It was just like, did we just lose that game like that? But it really was. It was a great time in Tallahassee. I truly enjoyed it. I truly enjoyed my time in Tallahassee.
Great.
Derek.
We're excited to hear that.
We want to thank you for joining us. You know what? I mean, I'm torn because I am tired of Alcorn winning. But I just can't root for your Rattlers right now. I can't. I got to pull for the Braves to beat y'all whenever y'all do come over to our little playpen, our sandbox, from the MEAC, but it's good to have FAMU in the SWAC. Your name of your school, the band, added another awesome band. Mm-hmm. We didn't talk about that. We mostly stick to sports, but in some of our social media groups, the bands have been excited about getting another high-profile band. So
we are the high-profile band. Let's talk about the Marching 100. So we also want to let y'all know that there's not one that's even close. And I think we found that out last year when Southern decided to come to Tallahassee. They had a good show, but I think the 100 took it to the next level. So.
The 100 was just running amok, Derek. Don't let him tell you no different. It was just running all over the place. I still
is there a field show that I can watch so I can be there?
I'll send you the clip. Don't worry about it. Don't you let him tell you no different.
Yes, 100 we don't play. We perform Super Bowls and presidential inaugurations and all of the above. So I'm just saying.
Yes, don't worry, Southern, right there with you. See, don't do that. I do tell you that Brian does take, when I came down, Brian took care of me. He made sure I got what I needed when I needed it. So it was, again, it's some really great people. It truly was. But yeah, I tell them I don't like mascots. Venom is one of them. I absolutely hate mascots. And Venom is probably the first. I am terrified of mascots. I don't like them. But I do. Again, it was, like you said, the 100 coming to the SWAC. Now you got that whole Okay, here you go with Southern. Here you go with FAMU. Here you go with Jackson State. Everybody's trying to battle it out. So, just imagine what a battle of the bands is like. Now everybody's going to be playing because FAMU will play for 30 minutes if you let them play.
Oh, yeah. We run the show.
So what is FAMU's fight song?
Well, what I would say is I think one of the things that we bring to the table, 100 bring to the table, is we have a great tradition of several songs that really resemble us. You do have our fight song. You've got the Florida song. You've got a lot of the unique sounds that the 100 bring to the table. And I think that's one of the things that we're most excited about with the transition to the SWAC is the simple fact that, you got elite bands people want to see. They're going to help fill up these stadiums.
Yeah.
They're going to make the game day experience, very similar to a lot of the Power 5 schools and that it's standing room only. I told somebody, this move was like the equivalency of SEC, the Black SEC. Because when you think about it, the footprint, the perennial brands, and I definitely think this is going to be a great move for Black college athletics all around. Not necessarily just the SWAC, but I certainly think that it strengthened our opportunities to move the needle.
Yes, indeed. And before we I have to ask this question. Of course, we know with COVID-19 impacting Earth, how has that, altered your plans or plans for football players to come back to campus? What's the status of that?
So, it's unfortunate, and I think every athletic director, whatever plans or strategic ideas that they had going into next year before COVID-19, they're really off the table. I think the thing that really is going to navigate and drive what happens and what it looks like is COVID-19. I think all of us hopes that it goes away or that we find a cure very quickly. But we're naive. Like some reports say that it's just going to magically disappear. We know that's not going to happen. But we've here at FAMU, and I say it, and it really is true. But we roll our sleeves up and we take on a challenge. Our president is dynamic in his thought process, and early on, we turned our football stadium into a testing site because we saw how it was proportionally affecting the African American community. And we've tested, I want to say, just over 10,000 people since we started testing at Bragg Memorial Stadium. It's free. You walk up, you give us your information. There's no doctor referral needed. You can get the results back in 2 days. But for a lot of people in our community, they wouldn't have had access to testing if it really wasn't for this opportunity that's been created here at the direction of our president. And so kind of where we are right now. But, we're excited to get our kids back. We're going to be bringing our student athletes back by July 1st. It's challenging because you can't do things normally. You can't feed them the same. You can't work them out the same.
Right.
You can't even teach them the same. So it's requiring us to think differently and to operate differently. But overall, we're excited about, getting them back and giving them an opportunity to compete. Right now in the state of Florida, things look like, they're looking a little better. But all indications are looking like we're going to play football. But we all know that could change very quickly. And so, we're just, taking it one day at a time, hoping that nobody else cancels on us. But
he's not going to let that die.
I had to take that jab.
You better call Eddie Banks. Take it up with them.
No, hey. Again, like I said, they've been good to us. They've communicated, but, I understand, because every state's different.
You know us, we got some unruly fans. If it was up to us, they'll still be trying to have us. Guys, can we ask me? They don't care.
No doubt. I totally get it. So I totally understand. But again, like I said, I think as an AD in today's climate, you got to make some tough decisions.
Absolutely.
should protect these kids. And so even though I'm giving them a hard time, I think they did the right thing based on their circumstances.
Right.
So,
Right.
Now, you seem like you like to talk noise.
okay.
So what we do, you're a guest today, but after today, you're not a guest any longer. You're family. So anytime you want to call in and talk to us, you want to spread a little bit of that rally cheer, you know what I'm saying? Feel free to chime in, especially, if my Delta Devils upset y'all next year, you know what I'm saying? You probably ain't going to call in on that show. And Keisha knows, once we win, when we beat somebody, I don't ever shut up. I've been picking on her.
He not.
I've been picking on her and Coach Odom since 2012. You know what I'm saying?
Since 2012. Now, you know how long ago that was?
I ain't never shut up. Now, we ain't beat them since. But I don't keep talking about that one win, you know what I'm saying? We want to thank you for joining us, taking time to join us to come and talk about the FAMU Rallies Athletic Department.
Wait. Before you go, let me ask you this. Can you tell us before you go about Coach Pillow? Because that was a big hire too. That was a big hire too.
So, we were, and obviously as a new AD, you're evaluating things and just making sure you're putting our kids in a position to be successful. I had the privilege to work with Shalon at my time as associate AD at Middle Tennessee. And, when we made the change, I was inundated with interest in this job. There were it was tough. But one of the things that really, her reputation and her experience, not only as a student athlete under Coach Pat Summit, with the Lady Vols, which is really the highest level of women's basketball. But to have that student athlete experience and then having coached at Kentucky and South Florida, Hofstra, and then seeing her in action at Middle Tennessee, I knew her pedigree and the championship culture that she was going to bring here to FAMU. And that's part of it, and so we were excited. It was one of those things that honestly, I kind of went out on a limb and I was like, hey, we got to have you here. We got to have you here. And, fortunately, she was, she had interest and was ready to take that step to be head coach. But again, I get excited about it because the future of our program, I have no doubt. And that's something that you'll see. That's one of our mantras when we tweet. We're going to leave no doubt. We're going to leave no doubt that we're going to win championships and that we're going to take our conference by storm, and that the student athlete experience is going to be second to none at FAMU.
Yes, indeed. And I got a chance to see the Lady Rattlers play last year. They visited Baton Rouge, and they play hard. Of course, the Tigers, one thing, but the Lady Rattlers did not give up. And I think Coach Tillo is inheriting a good group of girls, and hopefully they'll come back to Baton Rouge, not just to play Southern, but maybe drop a L on the LSU Tigers.
No doubt about it. So, very, very fortunate to have her. And we're, again, as you said, we're excited to see what the future holds in our basketball program.
All right. So yeah, like I was saying, you're not gonna be a guest after today. You family. So feel free to hit us up anytime. Talk sports, talk noise. You know what I'm saying? Pick at Keisha about canceling the game and y'all beating them last year. Like we did in 2012.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Victoria, see how far he has reached back.
All right, Keisha, go ahead and close us out.
All right, so we want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We thank FAMU's Athletic Director, Kortne, for joining us. This has really been a refreshing interview. It's been very interesting. We truly, truly appreciate you for joining us. We also are happy to have FAMU coming over to the SWAC. We welcome y'all. Just be prepared for the L y'all going to receive on the football field, the baseball mound, basketball, because they coming. They coming.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys very, very much, and we'll see about those L's because we like handing those out.
Thank you. For Black College Experience, I am Derek Thomas. She is Keisha Kelly. We are out of here. Good night.
Good night.
Thank y'all.